Have you ever wondered why some people are so focused on the fact that their designs are auto-centered and other people just don't seem to care? Well, I'm going to tell you why there is a distinct difference between the two. Hi, I'm John Deere from John Deere's Embroidery Legacy. Now, the real difference depends on the type of machine that you own. A lot of people who own what I consider to be home-based machines have a lot of technology built in so that it automatically centers the designs, which reduces the risk of hitting the actual frame or the hoop of the machine. Now, on a machine like this is a crossover machine. I would still categorize it as a commercial machine because it is a multi-needle machine. There's actually 10 needles that actually can run independently, but you don't have to constantly be changing over thread colors while you're doing a design. Now, within this machine, it will actually let you know when you call up the design what size hoop that will actually fit into. So if it is a design this big, it will let you know that there's no way possible that it'll fit into a hoop this size, and it will automatically center the design to fit within the actual hoop itself. So you really don't have any risk of actually hitting the hoop because it knows exactly where to put it. If I put in a hoop that's too small, it'll actually give me a little unhappy face and tell me that I need to move up to a larger hoop size. So with this machine, I don't necessarily have to do what I call an auto trace every time because the software built into the machine automatically knows whether it's going to fit or not. Now, with this machine as an example, this is what I would consider more of a commercial grade machine. This machine actually has 16 needles on it. It goes faster than the other machine, and there is actually a separate computer that you have to have plugged into the machine to load designs into the machine. So it actually loads the design into the software, and if that design is not auto-centered, it'll actually show off registration within the hoop size. Now, before you do a design on a machine like this, there is a button that will actually do an auto trace function, and I always suggest that somebody who owns a true commercial-based machine will auto trace their design, and it will actually outline within the hoop where the needle position is going to go. Because if you don't do that and you actually hit the frame of a machine, that's when you have real problems happen. Now, just to give you a little bit of an explanation as to why you would want to auto trace on a machine is because there's a needle bar here, and on this needle bar it actually moves up and down, and there's a spring on the needle bar, and there's a main shaft behind this head that has a main shaft that has something called a reciprocator. And what happens is it's a hard piece of plastic that basically moves back and forth like this, and it releases the needle bar going up and down from an open to a locking position, and that's how it moves so quickly. When you actually hit a frame on a machine, one piece of the equipment is going to break, and that is the reciprocator. And that's actually a good thing, because if it weren't the reciprocator, you would actually be probably bending one of the main pieces of metal in the machine. So it is actually meant to be broken if you actually hit a frame. Now, if you hit a frame, that's when you have to literally tear the whole head off of the machine. You have to pull that main bar out. You have to change the reciprocator, put it back in, realign the head. You actually have to adjust the needle bar height on the actual needle bar that was hit, and you'll probably have to adjust the rotary hook timing on the machine as well. So unless you really know what you're doing, you probably have to have a service tech come in and do that for you. So you really want to avoid all of that. As I mentioned, on this machine, I have very rarely, if ever, hit a frame on this machine, unless you are using aftermarket frames. If you're using a Mighty Hoop or something that you purchased that did not come with the machine or that was made by the company, then you would definitely want to auto trace because you could possibly hit the frame. Now, here's just a way to ensure that within Hatch you know that you're going to be auto-centered all the time. I'm just going to go to my freehand mode, and I'm going to choose a satin stitch, and I can see where the start position of the design is. I'm just going to come in and do a satin stitch and basically draw whatever shape I want. I can see how the design essentially has come centered, and then I'll continue to do another couple of little shapes, and I can see how it will automatically center as it goes through. Now the reason why it is centering, even though the 0 points are off, is when I go to export, I want to make sure that I go to my hoop function. Now if I right click on my hoop function, I can see that it is set to automatic centering. And I can either have it automatic manual where I set the hoop center automatically, or I can have it start at the beginning of the first needle position. Now auto centering is where I'd want it to be, and I was also able to set up my machine type. If your machine is listed within the list here, you can choose that one, but even if it's not, you can actually set it up for whatever type of machine you want. I was able to set up the red line as a multi-needle machine, and I was able to go in and custom set up the hoop for that machine so that when I click OK, I know that I have the correct hoop set, and if I click on the hoop itself, it's going to automatically center that design to the hoop, even if the 0, mark is off on my actual viewing area of my screen. So by knowing that the hoop is in place after I've digitized, now when I go to save out this design and I can export, and I'm going to export to DST, I know that it is automatically going to save it as a DST file, and it's going to start and end at the center point for whichever hoop size I've actually chosen. So I hope you found this helpful, and remember, as a safety precaution, it's always best to auto-center your designs within your software, and then you know you're always going to be safe. Hi, John Deere here, and thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like down below. To join the legacy now, hit the subscribe button and make sure you hit the bell to be notified every time we release a new video. It's no mystery, award-winning embroidery is our history.